Okay, hey everybody, my name is C. Stephen Blue, and I have the poetry tent over here. I have a lot of books for sale from my publishing company, and I'm presenting the Young Poets of Eugene and some other poets all weekend long. So right now I'm going to do you a poem, which is the title poem from my book Wild Weed from 2012. My stuff is rough. It's bare bones. I hate to answer telephones. I want to look you in the eyes when we speak. But it ain't no use in this fast-paced world to ride a horse or court a girl. If you take your time to get there, she's just moved on. Of the alley cat on the night of the hard driving rain, when the lightning speaks loud and everyone crowds in the shelter of warm window panes. I live my life in a pot-bellied stove. I'm an oak tree with ages to tell. I'm the earthquake commander, a green salamander, a salesman with nothing to sell. Did you see me? So clean and the grass was so green that a new age did not seem so distant. In the quiet, an angel calls, awakened by the engine stars of the inner city, pondering its sleep. The dream is a draftsman, a hill-dwelling craftsman, a step in a tunnel on the road to forever. Life is a boat in a great castle moat. We all circle yet must row together. Now is then, and yesterday's tomorrow. But how can we live it like we mean it, when we're running so fast that the race cannot last, and the space in between lies unseen? Or is that to live in a meadow and ponder the meaning of the wild yonder? The stars at night or a daffodil. The momentum is great as it rolls down the hill of imagination gone to sea. I'm a wild weed. Why do I feel so safe in the rain? I long to sit behind waterfalls and gaze at the crystal. I tell tattered tales and listen when eternity calls. Maybe this just goes on and on. Or maybe the hunger can't fathom the dawn. It's the spark in the dark behind your eyes when you sleep just a moment and then it is gone and you wink. Sheltering skies pour forth from your eyes and germinate the seed of my fast-growing need. I'm a wild weed. Yes, I'm a wild weed. Yeah! Thank you. Okay, who'd like to bring in? Anybody?
There you go. I'm allowed to cuss. I'm allowed to cuss. I'm allowed to cuss. All right. This poem is called Anarcho-Communism. It expresses my political philosophy. The gazelle prances through the concrete jungle, and two lions at the watering hole stop to stare. We haven't escaped the jungle yet. Living in engineered houses with fences, we our undomesticated beers intoxicated by our senses and impulses rising to the occasion for motivations unbeknownst to us. So serious we invent utensils to protect us from the lives we took, and clothes to cover up the flesh bags that incite lust and realness, and list the reasons why we should suppress Pavlov's dog until he sublimates and masturbates and recreates the canine within to sin against a conscience seared by a nature battling against itself, asking ourselves what part of us to follow to take the path of wilderness or aristocrats that rearrange the primal pulse into beats that won't get out of control. But like memes repeating, they always do, and thoughts count as performances in the mind, just like people who fantasize about genocide may be confined by the invisible hand we see at work in every governance and legislation, twisting arms to coerce this frustration into a symphony where we all play nice, while presidents and kings indulge their vice and crimes and make us pawns on chessboards expendable. The king sits defended as the sacrifice and slaughter happens in front of us, and even the queen is killable in this one-way negotiation of who gets what. We divide the subsections of islands and continents into property, dropped from the heavens to the lands, drawing lines arbitrary. We need to stop to ask who really does this profit, because someone is planning to have the last laugh. Rules aren't made for nothing, they're protecting someone's right to break them. Civil rights, a distribution of the king's private things, and kings, we just want you to know, we're not done fucking with you yet. And Plato's anti-demos leanings about philosopher kings can pay obeisance to my philosophy, the classist hierarchy ingrained in us by such a simple game as chess. Well, motherfuckers, we don't want to play chess. We want to play checkers and bid adieu to pecker checkers and pucker and kiss the new world, not utopias, just another system that will fall but will make a footprint that says we were here and screamed our independence and collectiveness, saying, we don't want to play chess. We want to play checkers. We don't want to play chess. We want to play checkers. And there never was a philosopher king, because a philosopher would know better than to play a game that slaughters its most important players. We refuse to play chess. If you're looking for us, we'll be over here playing checkers. Sure, I could find something to read. Oh, yeah. Volume down on the customers, you know. Yeah, sure. Let's see. All right. The point pointed to me and asked, what is the point to this point? To be a period at the end of a deep sentence on a page so flat? Or is there more to the page than we had thought, a mythos on a plane trying to locate an ethos that doesn't contradict our logos or our palette? Because that's pretty important, and we try to have these unified and live our lives sewing the different chapters of our pages together to apprehend a storyline that defines our private, invisible experience. No one can penetrate, but to arouse in us moments of insanity, inanity, vanity, and profanity, and test the sanity of all the stuff we choose to carry with us. Wandering the pictures of this book, lost in the forest of ourselves in existential crisis, we find we always miss whatever we were aiming for, but just barely, and always dance around the point and land eluded by the thing we were waiting for to justify our existence to ourselves, while we sell ourselves short, for it is inadequate to need to justify ourselves to anyone, even us. So we stand from the focal point of our perspective looking for the good life, missing the life we're living, missing moments by taking photographs. What we run from runs to us, grabs onto us, and pulls us to a space where we must learn to fill our cups with nothingness. And this is the trick to happiness. To grow a garden from our emptiness and moisture in our shriveledness, enlightenment in soberness and intoxicants. We dance and prance unto the next experience, vexed when seams tear, exposing a seeming world of dreams someone else had planned for us. And we found ourselves living those plans, speeding over speed bumps full speed, not slowing to get an accurate view of the road, just monkey see, monkey do. Monkey scratches head and grunts and farts, and monkey cries, and monkeys embrace and find solace in the arms of a loveless universe. But in our arms, we are the universe. And we monkeys will make a universe of love, and always try to realize that everywhere we go, then run into God, that bastard, always intruding on what we agreed to chant to ourselves. A mantra repeats outside these walls that we did not create. Playing in the background, we try to adjust our tune, but the rhythm is hard to follow, so we swallow and choke on the hollowness of our throats, trying to put 2 points together like man and God, pointing at each other but not allowed to touch because science said so. When they are in each other's arms and humping, they find out they're one person. The two sides of the coin, the heads and tails, running from each other, looking for the yin for their yang, and the chaos in the cosmos of grief and loss and feelings that don't make sense, but don't need to defend themselves to reason's austere glance. The point is that they are nonsense, and that should teach us to know the universe never required coherence from us anyways. As we watch our dreams of what this should be crash into a dystopian fantasy and smash the transparency and transcendence and tragedy of certain moments with embarrassments, we learn not to regret or expect too much and eat from plates of food so vaporous. We fill ourselves until we're nauseous, looking for a way out, but the only way up is down, and you'll never know if you reach the bottom when things that had excited us now give us boredom and we wake up to not be the person we were planning for. But here we are, and we can ask, what story should I tell? From here, what ideals should I follow, and what picture of the world should I have inside my head? And will I finally be who I plan to be before I'm dead? And when I awake up old, will I feel this way, making each choice like an eternal ripple? But the forces at play always interrupt our groove, but we make zen with them, baking cookies in ovens and Tao with stupid TV shows and Nirvana in samsara, and need to not say that we haven't lived, except to say that we were always living and didn't realize it. And accepting a universe that isn't beautiful or ugly becomes suddenly attractive and fills you up with an ethos of love. And that's what we call intrinsic values, the ones that seem to pop from nothingness to us and cry out like the thousands before us when it keeps sending us mixed messages, and pick up the pieces to try and build the world again for others to see, and we be well commended, or at least be happy with our crappy selves one day, and feel the things that make some people want to pray, and others to praise, and others to meditate and cry and laugh. The winds of change posturing us to walk on different paths, and run into you at some intersection. These different paths led to an exchange our points of view.
That was Andrew. Thanks, Andrew. James is going to do one for us now.
All right. It had recently occurred to me that something was wrong when the water came out neon green and melted a hole in my bathtub. That was why I went to the local club, ordered a couple virgin sodas. Unfortunately for me, the drinks were prudes and spilled all over my best fake tuxedo t-shirt. The bartender asked me, what was I doing up at this hour? Of course, I didn't tell him about what was happening. If anything, he already knew where this night was gonna take me. Down to the very bottom of my crawl space, where the big rodents live. I've set some intricate raw hamburger traps, keeps them slow enough to catch. See, then when the road's too quiet, I just bag them and put them in other people's mailboxes. Just a little hobby, I guess. Overall, the bad news was there was this huge hole in my bathroom, but no Lou, no John, no crapper. It was Don. So where was I to defecate? That was the question. Did this happen to anybody else on my street? The cockroaches didn't seem to care, so I step on them, except the ones that fly. Don't mess around with those jerks. Poison the jerks, before they crossbreed with the mosquitoes or ticks. I'm getting awfully tired of this excrement. Last time I had a problem like this, I ordered a pizza. Because I had no fridge, or trustworthy food for that matter, and it all gone way bad. My kitchen is still stained from the meat blood from those days. It was a mess. Maybe, just maybe, there's some hotel. If I get lucky, I will find money in the bed, instead of the usual fringe murder victim. Those Motel 8s can be a real gamble. One time I was watching a Larry Flint classic when my TV exploded. C4 in the television, but worse still, the curtains caught on fire, so I put them out. But no joke, murky blue water, like the kind at barber shops. Bad idea. The 5-0 rolled up, and brought, of course, the bigger and far more official 6-0, as in the feds. They wanted to arrest me on charges I hadn't paid for my room. Thing is, I ordered the room maybe 30 minutes before, and gave them my information, my ID, my birth certificate, stool and seed sample, hair sample. They wanted to make sure it was me. Because I guess some people smuggle in other folks' fluids for some creepy fetish reason. Unbelievable that would be sexually appealing to some weirdo. The 6-0 didn't know what jokes were anymore. They didn't laugh at that. They were done with me. Sent me home and explained that the water had been tainted by space toads. That was BS, I thought, until I heard the croaking everywhere that night. In the desert. I just slept it off, pretended it was nothing, even when my windows broke. What's the point freaking out? It's just space toads. There we go. That's much easier. Way back, in the younger parts of Centaurian 20's analog memory, Mephistopheles was tinkering with the shallow soul of the sloth. The bradypus was creatively endowed, but only enough to realize it had a deadly sin named after it. Self-awareness came with some unsightly repercussions. Knowing one's own stupidity was too much. Morality hadn't sunk in yet. Thus it was necessary to make a blood pact with a few other Arbor Harborers. Betrayal was the main part. Convince these less intelligent bradypi and simians that they too will become enlightened. Of course, that enlightenment wasn't as endless for the others. A ritual needed to occur in order to summon a demon. Eternal wisdom had a cost. Obviously, that sloth paid the price. With simian cardiology, none of these interactions were natural, and yet, as the deal was made and the circle of blood was traced into the deep ridges of the ground, an unsuspecting zoologist captured this sloth. His name was Dr. Hennings. Mansfield Hennings, a poor cursed man with severe arthritis. Balanced out with valiant fame, fortune, and silent films. The sloth soon became famous, able to run faster than a cheetah, creating enough to solve intricate algebraic formulas, intelligent enough to speak fluent Aboriginal French. Manning named his sloth Stoic and brought him everywhere. Then one tragic day, Stoic had reasoned with himself that a purely vegetarian diet just would not do. Manning was an aging, rickety man, and saying no to such an interactive and brilliant beast seemed unfair. If Manning had been raised a yes man, maybe he could have accepted life circumstances. Blackened feet, arthritis, brittle bones. Stoic could feel his owner's pain and decided one day to end it for him. Stoic, waiting till Manning was slumbering, and gently fluffed his pillows, sadly looking down at his tortured adventurer friend. Of course, the next morning Manning was dead, smothered to death. And Stoic had long since ran away. Feeling an outcast, he summoned his demon patron and asked to be let go. The demon voraciously laughed. "Ha ha ha ha! You shall be immortal, and none shall know you of your true nature. In 150 years, you will be the laughing stock of the human race. All will find your pictures and view you as dumb and cute. Ignorant and lazy, none shall respect you." So Stoic faced his oppressor and lost, becoming something we now call a meme. That is the sad end. And as Centurion 20 ticks his last tick, his baby brother 21 stretches his arms, staring out into the present, tucking old man 20 to his fifth dimensional resting place. The end.
Woo! 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 Thank you, James. How about a hand for the Young Poets of Eugene? Woo! All right. So, some pretty fun stuff here. I'm gonna get a little serious for a minute, and I'm gonna do a little political stuff, because I have something to say about Ferguson, Missouri. It just seems to me that we never address the real problems. All we ever address are the symptoms. It's the same old story of alienation and inequality that has plagued our country for so long with no end in sight. It's been 50 years since the Civil Rights Movement. Or the Civil Rights Act, I'm sorry. It's been over 20 years since the LA riots of 1992 surrounding the Rodney King verdict. We didn't address the problems then, just like we aren't addressing them now. Oh yeah, we'll address the symptoms all day long and plaster them on the evening news all night long. People are rioting, looting, burning. That is against the law. That is the problem. Bring the state police, bring the National Guard. These people are lawbreakers and must be stopped. But those are the symptoms. We never address the underlying problems of why. Why are these people rioting and looting? Why is the frustration of people played out in violence on the streets? It is because nothing changes. Inequality and racism are the sick underbelly of our nation, along with perpetual war and gun violence. When the LA riots happened in 1992, I was right smack dab in the middle of them. But that is another story for another time. But I did spend that night, all night long, watching my city burn. And while I did, I wrote a poem. It relates what happened that night, and it relates what is still happening now in our country. The next day, I printed out hundreds of copies of that poem, and I went down to the Venice Beach boardwalk and handed them out to people all day long. Will we ever learn? Will we ever evolve as human beings? Here's the poem I wrote that night of the LA riots. It's called Kings of History. Why do the kings in our country always get hurt? Why is the world still groveling in the dirt, searching for justice? It's not a mystery, just another piece of history that the media fuels the flames of for all to see. Buildings continue to burn throughout the city. Prayers for peace call out all around. You wonder, is humanity or justice being served as you watch all over your city burning to the ground? Why do they never listen when you cry out for equality? Lincoln, Lenin, the Kings and the Kennedys call out through eternity. Why do we have to sacrifice so much for so little gain? It's about human rights, and it's happening once again. It's not a mystery, just another piece of history that the media fuels the flames of for all to see. It's no mystery that pent-up feelings have taken to the streets, but death and destruction do not bring solution. They only increase the pain of an already open wound. Why do joblessness, homelessness, depression, frustration, and anger seem rampant everywhere, while unjustified murder and beatings go virtually unnoticed in every town square? Why are executions being justified and war glorified, yet no one around you seems to care? It's no wonder that anguish, pain, and alienation are now evidenced and played out on the streets of our nation. Why do the kings in our country always get hurt? It's not a mystery, just another piece of history that the media fuels the flames of for all to see. Buildings continue to burn throughout the city. Prayers for peace call out all around. You wonder, is humanity or justice being served as you watch all over your city burning to the ground? Would Karen, please welcome Karen to the stage.
Woo, Karen!
Okay, I'm going to improv a poem, and I can say in all sincerity that what I say comes from my heart and will linger on the wind for a moment and it's gone. Thank you. I look into the mirror, my eyes like melted wax, my skin a plastic box unlocked at the screws of my mind, and I see myself as I think you see me, but I'm not really there. I wander through the bathroom of my mind and look through every corner to find some remnant of what I have left to recall who I am. But there's nothing in my home, nothing that I own, nothing that I have inside reflects anything but despair and loneliness. Then again, I look outside the edges of who I believe myself to be, and I see a sky full of magic. Clouds are thick and waiting with ideas and hope and promise. The trees are bending in a mad, forsaken illusion of something that I was or can be. The birds. I see them there, out in the outer reaches, beyond my window. The birds that are, perhaps, my own wings. And I see the small ones beneath, the tiny crawlers, with the cats and dogs among them, the wolves and tigers of the street. I wonder, who could I really be? Am I actually that locket around my neck that says heartache? Am I actually this facade I stare at behind the moldy glass? Or am I a piece of that wandering outside, that river that flows behind the curtain of my mind, that looks at me with longing to escape the city's crucifixion? I am. I know I am. I am not the mask I wear that I tear off piece by piece. I am not these empty eyes that cry in senseless apprehension. I am not an illusion of what I call myself, and yet I am that tree standing in the forest of my neighborhood. I am the grass, dry and brittle, that cries to grow. I am the mud, dried on the stone, and the heart that aches for wandering. I am that hooked rug below my feet, stitched by every corner of my pain. I am that box that is my face, that holds the secrets of Pandora. I am the sticks that lay upon the ground, that long to play the music. I am the leaves that curl beneath my feet. I am the dancing wind that calls me like seldom consummations. I am the sweet, tender worm that undulates beneath the earth, waiting for an answer to my own inner voice.
Another hand for Karen. And as Karen likes to call us, the Wild Poets of Eugene. So we're supposed to break while the band is playing, so please come and join us for our next set at 5:30. Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah.